Hello, my name is Daniel Roe, and I'm going to be talking about building a personal CLI. Thank you for coming, by the way. I should introduce myself. My primary thing that I do is I'm an open source maintainer. That's what I do full-time, so I get to spend my time reviewing pull requests and fixing bugs and creating them too. And doing a lot of things. Honestly, I think it's the best job in the world. Now, I lead the core team building Nuxt. That is a framework for building full-stack web apps. I also am on a few other projects too, like Nitro, which is a framework for building servers, Elk, which is a client for Mastodon, which is like a decentralized Twitter. And some others also. Feel free to check out some of those URLs. First commit will tell you your first GitHub commit and give you something you can share it with. PageSpeed is a client for Google Lighthouse and the Core Web Vitals APIs, except it's shareable, so you can paste it in Twitter, get a nice image, and it's fast. That's the aim. And there are a few other things there too. I'm a GDE, I'm an MVP, I'm a GitHub star, and in July I joined Vercel as a software engineer. My role is to continue doing what I was doing before, which is maintaining Nuxt. As a little bit about me, I live in Scotland, in Edinburgh. That is not the view out of my front window, but it might as well be. It's a lovely city to be based, and I'm really thrilled to be there. I've been living there for about 2 years. And I'm not actually originally from the UK. So I'll let you guess where I'm from. You can ignore what I'm saying and focus on see if you can find a trace of my origin country in my accent if you want. And just in case you haven't heard of it, Nuxt, it's a framework for building full-stack web apps. And one of the things that makes Nuxt what it is the fact that it's progressive. So it should be with you to start with. So if you're a hobbyist or you're just throwing a blog up or you want to build a really simple marketing website, it should be really easy for you to do that. And it should be very customizable as you build it and want to go further. I'm not talking about Nuxt today, but I thought I would mention it anyway because I get personal validation when people know projects I'm involved in. That was a joke, but also true. It's one of the funny things I think about open source that, in a way, I don't think anyone does open source for, as in it's just fine if nobody uses it, right? You get a lot of joy just from creating something and sharing it with the world. But I will say, like the thrill, particularly after you launch a new project and you see people starting to star it, I don't know, there's no dopamine hit like it. I mean, it just doesn't measure up to anything else. Sorry, is that too? I probably shouldn't say that. Nuxt was created actually almost the day after Next.js. If you ever have heard of that framework, it's for a little-known visual library called React. I mean, anyway, you probably won't have heard of it. But Nuxt is the same, but for Vue. That was also a joke, by the way. I'll just actually put a little rule out there, because if I ever say something which seems really ridiculously arrogant, it is a joke. I hope. So anyway, Nuxt was created a number of years ago. It was not created by me. It was created by a couple of brothers, the Chopin brothers from France, from the Pyrenees, which immediately makes it a fantastic meta framework. I mean, you don't need to know anything more than that, really. And it's been through a couple of major versions, most recently version 3, which was pretty much when I joined the core team. I previously had a software as a service company, and before that I had a consultancy. And as part of my role in those two teams, I got involved in open source, started contributing more and more until finally I joined the core team. And then just before basically in time to be one of the authors of Nuxt 3. And then after it was released, I stepped up to lead the team. We released version 4 this year. Sorry, I'm talking about Nuxt. I said I wasn't going to talk about Nuxt. Anyway, that's what Nuxt is. We're going to build a personal CLI. That's the idea. But first, I want to have an idea. Has anyone here ever built a personal CLI? So something that you're using. I should say a CLI. If you're just like, yes, a CLI. I don't know what. That's a command line interface. So that is a way to interact with the computer by typing, maybe in terminal, or some kind of console. This is where I check to see whether the internet is working on my computer, and it seems to be, so far. Can I just say, we have a very strong number of people who have indeed built a CLI for their own personal use. So this talk is actually going to change format. We're going to have a panel discussion. No, we're not going to have a panel discussion. I should say, by the way, that I hope my website appeared on the screen earlier. It's roe.dev, roe.dev. And the main reason I mention that is because if you go there, you can find out how to contact me via one of my social media accounts. I am on every social media platform except for Twitter, for obvious reasons. And I'd be really happy if you want to drop me a DM or ask any questions. But I'm also very happy if you want to fire something at me whilst I'm talking. So please, I don't know how well someone on the back row, can you shout? I just want to see something. Okay, I could hear you. Great. So if anyone wants to ask a question, you can just ask it, okay? And I'll try and answer it. But amazingly, we have 8 people here who have built a personal CLI. I mean, I don't think it's so amazing. Well, I think it's amazing, but I don't think it's so unexpected. Because building a personal CLI is something that I think makes sense for all of us. And I would hope that that after today, or maybe nothing to do with today, but still after today, I would hope that many of us would go ahead and build our own personal CLI. But first, I want to try something. Anyone here fancy having a contest with me of typing? Someone has to. Oh, we're not going any further. We'll just be like, oh, goodness, I don't know what he would say. Those other slides, they must be amazing. We never saw them. Is someone raising their hand and I just don't see it? Or are people just sitting there thinking, this is for someone else? I promise I will not mock you. I will try and beat you, though. Amazing, thank you. Do come forward. You probably thought, oh, I can do it from the comfort of my own seat. No. You want your own computer. I was sort of thinking we'd do it on this one, but if you have your like a keyboard that you prefer, that is totally fine. Okay, you're good. Okay, we'll do it on this one, as long as I can. Okay, they have a new merch store open. Great. And I have it set to English, but if you want a different language, we can do that too. English, good. Okay. So whenever you want to, give it a go. Nice. That's really good. Thank you. Round of applause. And your name is? Figos. Figos. Nice to meet you. Do grab a seat. And I will give a try as well. I mean, you can welcome to stay for that as well and heckle me from the stage. It would make it a lot harder, I think, if someone's shouting in your head, "You're going to fail." That was not a suggestion, by the way. Okay, I'll give this a try. Poor accuracy. However, high words per minute. The reason I shared typing, I noticed I did not get an applause. People were like, the level of typos there, we are just ashamed to see it on stage. So that's almost as bad as shouting in my ear, you're going to fail. I've shared that because I think one of the most important things we can experience as developers, and in fact, I think you could probably extend it into other aspects of life. By the way, I'm just sort of standing over here because there's a really big green line on the floor. Does this green line mean something? I have to go on the other side of it. The dark side of the stage. What happened? I went to the dark side. I could just be a voice. Like, you wouldn't see me. This would be very handy if I had something really, depressing to say. Or maybe just, anyway, I feel like I'm going to investigate that later. But I think one of the most underrated skills as developers is effortlessness. And that is, getting rid of frictions that stand between the idea that you have in your mind and the thing that you need to accomplish, right? So between the idea and the implementation of that idea. And this is, I guess, true of a lot of things. Like if we're doing anything development related, you want to be able to dream it and do it. And in between, setting up your computer, installing the latest version of dependencies, restarting your, whatever it is, those things get in the way. And I think building a personal CLI gives us an opportunity to get rid of frictions that we experience on a day-to-day basis. I also think, by the way, that typing is a good example of a skill that enables us to get rid of a friction, and that is its main value. So the speed with which you can type does not matter as long as it doesn't slow you down in expressing what is in your head. So, for example, I could not possibly think at 108 words per minute. That is not going to be useful to me in coding, and particularly not if I make as many typos as I did then. But if you can't type at all, you're going to find that to be a huge obstacle in expressing what is in your head. So I think there are three things that we should aim to when building and I promise I will come to actually build a personal CLI. But I think the reason is even more important because otherwise you'll never start. And I think the three reasons for building a personal CLI, or the three hows, are first play. So that is, and I use the word play because it gives permission to do stupid things and things that have no value except that they make your life somewhat better. They get rid of some kind of friction in your life. They make your workflow or your developer skill or task, whatever, better, easier, simpler. In the early days, when Elon Musk had just bought Twitter and immediately started making it worse, and a lot of people were very worried, there was a mass exodus from Twitter, and then many people went back again. But in that first exodus, people were looking for something independent, and they discovered Mastodon. And Mastodon was a decentralized version of Twitter, or a decentralized social network. I don't want to denigrate it by calling it just a version of Twitter. It has a slightly different vision. A project I got involved with, and I'm on the core team of, but I can take no credit for, is Elk. I mentioned it early, and Elk is a client for Mastodon. It looks like this. It looks a little bit like Twitter, I guess you might say. And you can browse through a timeline, and stuff is lazy loaded, and you can click into things, and you can reply, and it's got. This is one of the key features of it, actually. Like it's got code formatting and so on. And all of this was built in those early days. Anthony Fu created the project, and Anthony, Matthias, Kevin, and I sort of pitched in and helped make it happen. But I say helped make it happen because so many people, developers, were actually the ones who were submitting pull requests and improving it. Because this is something that you actually use on a day-to-day basis, if you're like me. You use a social media client. You're on your phone, you're on your computer, You're seeing opportunities and frictions and opportunities for things to be better. And you know what? If you can make your life better in a small way, you will. And so many people did. They're like, hey, let's have a scheduled post feature. Why don't we have syntax highlighting? That's great. How about we make it even simpler? Let's have a Zen mode where you can't see anything. Let's disable pictures. Let's add translations. And people did so many different things. And Elk, even before it was made open source, we built it sort of privately because it was so early. Even before it was made open source, there were so many people who had already contributed to it. And so I think the first thing to do when thinking of building your personal CLI is build something that you're going to use, solve problems, make your life better in some kind of way, and don't hesitate to do it. I would say keep your personal CLI private, secret, closed source, partly because it gives you permission to do all of this imperfectly. And I think one of the biggest problems standing in the way of any of us developers, I don't know how many perfectionists are in the room, or people who have perfectionist tendencies. You do not have to admit it, because that would shatter the illusion of perfection. But if you are a perfectionist, like so many of us, you'll find it difficult to share things that aren't perfect. You might even study and think and try and figure out the best implementation before even starting to type or build. And I think the great thing about building something that's personal, that's just for you, is that you really don't. You can throw stuff in there that's terrible. You can hard code secrets. You can write the same code 5 different times without extracting it into a helper function or an abstract class. Just does it work? Does it make your life better in any way? Then do it. And do it again. So I don't know when, like in your vision of success, if you want to see something which is just an amazing project, I wonder, a library, for example, a framework, a website, how do you think it arrived? Did it spring fully formed out of the head of Zeus? I believe that was Athena, right? Probably not. Because studies have shown that spending time alone, genius, sitting in a tower, that does not actually produce better results than shipping imperfect code and iterating on it with a team. Much less impressive at every single possible stage. Every single commit, a bit boring. Lots of it is bug fixing. But the end goal in a given frame of time is better than the perfectionist in the ivory tower making the perfect thing. If you are someone who spends a lot of time trying to make something perfect before using it, before building it, I have bad news for you. You will create a better thing if you make it imperfectly and iterate on it. And by the way, I think this is one reason why talks on architecture, or maybe not talks on architecture, but aiming to get the perfect architecture before you start building is often dangerous. Because if you're trying to implement a pattern which you don't have experience of, which you don't understand why you're picking it, you will be spending more time trying to make something perfect than you will iterating on the thing. So, actually, I could say more on that. I'll cut myself off. So let's build our own CLI. By the way, I have to use this. This is I have to use this because this is my browser. My slides are running in my browser through a tool called SlideDev, which lets you write them in Markdown. And I have done a cursed thing. Do I have any? Yeah, I've done a cursed thing. I have created a shell. This whole thing is running in Vite. By the way, it really doesn't matter what framework you're using. I'll be using JavaScript today, and some of the tools I'm using are JavaScript-based. It doesn't matter what you're using to build it. Everything, I hope I say, goes for any language. But this whole thing is running in Vite, and with my Vite server, I launch a shell, and then I connect it to my browser via WebSocket, and I have a terminal emulator running in the browser. That means I can do stuff like install some dependencies. We're going to use Kitty to build the CLI, and Bombshell as well. I'll get to that. And I can even do stuff like launch my VS Code window. Isn't that cool? Maybe I'm just thinking it's cool myself. It's cool, right? So, like, if I open the browser DevTools, like, these are divs, people. I feel I need more appreciation. Not me, the creators of this emulator that runs in the browser. That's pretty cool, right? The correct answer is yes. Okay, here we go. We have a, hide the status bar. We have a project, which we've created from the browser. It is cursed. Okay, we have our project, and we have something called Kitty. And I recommend start as simple as possible. So we're going to call this, what should we call it? My CLI. And we are going to write in TypeScript, because I don't know if you know, but you can directly run TypeScript in Node these days. So we're going to create a source file. There it is. And we're just going to say, hey. And we're just going to run it. And in fact, we can just go ahead and use the CLI command here. And there it goes. Hi. We've built a CLI. And in fact, if we want to use this CLI globally, we are here in this crazy temporary directory. But let's just add our CLI to my my root configuration. So here's my configuration here. I'm going to create an alias. I'm going to call it my CLI is. We're going to put the full path. There we go. I think that should work. Save. I'll source my ZSH, and can I just run it, my CLI? No. What have I done? I've done something wrong. Oh, yeah. There shouldn't be a equals. Oh, for goodness sake. I think this is I'm in a temporary directory. Let's try this. Source. Okay. Huh. Command not found. Oh. Should it actually be something like, yes, that? Too many quotes. My CLI, for goodness sake, yes. Okay, so I have globally installed the CLI for me. This is probably the best way to get going, because it has zero friction. I can make changes to my CLI. They're immediately usable by me in my on my computer anywhere. And now let's make it a little bit interesting. So I'm going to use this kitty thing, and it has some helper functions. So I can define like a command. It supports subcommands and all kinds of things. I'm just going to directly use run main to make this as simple as possible. And so run main is going to take a command definition. So I'm going to say this CLI is going to be called my CLI. I could give it a version if I wanted. I'm going to give it some subcommands. And what are some things we might want to do for our CLI? Free APIs. Does anyone? I'm going to give you a list of public APIs. We're going to scroll down, and if you see one that looks interesting, shout it out, okay? You have to shout something out. Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay. Is that big enough? Cats. Okay, we'll do some cats. Daily cat facts. There's no guarantee that these APIs still work, but let's try. Okay, we have an endpoint. Excellent. Let's just make sure it works if we hit the endpoint. Let's try facts. Not a tremendously positive approach. Oh no, there is a random endpoint. Please tell, for goodness sake. Let's try this. Please, oh, this is an API, a dead API, I think. I don't think it exists anymore. I'm really sorry. Let's pick another one. Dog API. That would really put the cat amongst the dogs, wouldn't it? Should we give that one a try? The dog API. API key. No need. Excellent. API docs. API. It has 2 versions. This is an impressive API. Okay, so let's try it out. I'm going to hit dog API.dog API version 2, and then we have breeds. Yes, an actual API. This is cool. So we have an API, and we have, this is presumably a list. I'm just going to copy it to the clipboard so I have an example of what it comes back with, and we're going to paste it in here as JSON, and I'm going to format it so it looks a little bit better. Great, so we have everything on a data property. So I'm going to say dog. Dog is going to be my subcommand, and it's going to give me some, so we can give it a description. Dog-related commands, excellent. And it's going to have a little run function. And what we're going to do here is whatever we want our command to do. So we're going to say, what should we say? We're going to fetch some information, right? So const data is await. We're just going to use native fetch. So our endpoint is this. And yeah, we're getting some data back. By the way, TypeScript, Copilot is fantastic for stuff like this. So I'm going to say interface breed response. And we're just going to say create a TypeScript interface for this response. I'm not going to paste the whole thing because it's probably quite a lot. But what I can do is just grab the very first one. So there we have it. There. And hopefully that's going to fill out that with something which is actually typed. What I would do, obviously, in a real project is use something like Zod or Valibot to actually validate the response, as well as give me types. But what this will do is give me an immediate TypeScript response. And I can just say, OK, so I have some typings. And what we want to do is print a random breed. So we'll go for breed is math random times data length. Or we can just use floor, I guess. That'll be better. And we'll log it out. Should we see if that works? OK. We have some information that our CLI helper is giving us. It's going to give us a command, which is helpful if we have forgotten what our own CLI does. And if we run dog, great. We're actually getting a response that is, I'm trusting a random dog breed. I guess it is. Oh, it's paginated. So it's probably just the A's or something like that. And we probably would need to write some handler to, iterate over all of the dog breeds and maybe cache them or something like that. But you see the point. So you can create some kind of useful function which is going to make your life somehow better. And you can just run it now on your computer anyway. There we go. We probably do actually want to suppress that, which we do simply by saying this is of type module. There we go. Beautiful. I could do this all day, and probably will, because I have another talk later, and you know what procrastination does for you, right? It makes your life worth living. Okay, so there we go. We have our personal CLI all up and running. And I want to show you another very, very cool thing. I'm going to install another utility called Bombshell Tab. And Bombshell is a very cool project for improving terminal tooling for the JavaScript ecosystem. Do check it out. But in particular, Bombshell tab allows you to create completions for your CLI. And they also have other utilities like prompts, beautiful components, arg parsing, and so on. But in this case, we simply want to add some completion for our terminal. And so we're going to move away from, let's see, from just directly running main to separating it out. And we're going to use a utility called tab from Bombshell tab. And this is their Kitty integration. I think it is just the default export. And we're simply going to await tab. And what that means is that now if we run our CLI with complete, and pass our shell, it's actually going to generate a completion for us. So I'm going to just create this. I'll do it in our project directory. ZSH is my shell. I'm going to put it in completion.sh. And now I'm going to put this in my startup script. And let's try restarting our console. Now if I run my CLI and press tab, for goodness sake. Let me see if I imported something, done something wrong here. I'm pretty sure this is exactly what we want. Yeah, that's fine. Well, check it out. It should give you a nice completion, and it's probably something I've just done slightly wrong here, maybe in terms of how I've specified my subcommands. Maybe they don't have arguments. That's probably what it is. We can try and say, let's take some args. We want to maybe get a number. See if that works for us. A weird one. Anyway, do check it out. It does work. I promise you, there's probably some weirdness about how I'm defining my commands, but it absolutely should work. It's a very cool project regardless. So create your personal CLI. I promise it is something that makes a huge difference when it comes to improving your experience as a developer. So what could you create? What have I created? What might other people create? If you have an idea, feel free to share it. But some next steps, once you have something that's making your life easier, you can abstract it. So don't just think of it as a CLI that you have locally on your project. You can actually deploy it to GitHub, for example, where you have GitHub Actions, which can run your CLI for you. Maybe not so useful for dog facts, but some of the things that I have, for example, I have a CLI step to reserve a package name on NPM. because I have an idea that when I have an idea and I want to build a library and I find the perfect name, I don't want to spend some time building the library only to discover that the name has vanished. So I have just now a shortcut where I can just say run npm package name. I can just reserve my package name. This is just a raycast, and it's going to run a shortcut for me, an Apple shortcut. Or I could actually just have a look at all of my Apple shortcuts, and you can see some of them there. I have another shortcut which updates my current location. It uses my current location from my phone, and it goes and updates it on GitHub. And I have now automatically a Greek flag as my status on GitHub because I am on Crete. And if you go to my website, there's actually a Greek flag there. And actually, hey, down here, okay, well, that's an interesting way to put it. But actually, I'm tracked all the time by choice. And that's, I feel, it's a fun little thing. I can do things like, check for meetings. Whenever I love climbing, bouldering, and I understand there's actually some real rocks to climb here, and it's really annoying me that I haven't had a chance to go and try them yet. But I go to the climbing gym, and sometimes I realize I have a meeting with someone, a video call, and I start cycling home, and I'm not sure if I want to make it just in time. I actually have an automation that triggers when I leave the climbing gym, checks to see when my next meeting is. If there's a meeting within 10 minutes of me arriving home, it will automatically send an email out about 5 minutes before the meeting just saying, hey, just to say I'm on my bike, I'm hoping I can make it, and if I haven't, I'm really sorry. But if you think of CLI tasks as things that make your life better, then being able to trigger them not just from your computer, but in some kind of workflow, or if you're using something like N8N, which is an automation server you can self-host and run, you can actually trigger them via an MCP server or from agents or other things, and actually start making your automated personal assistant. Some of the things that I do, if you want to see my CLI, it's called M. So I have a little CLI script here that's going to query GitHub to find all the pending PRs from these authors that need to be merged, but only the ones that have all passing checks on GitHub. And so I see, this renovate PR and this renovate PR. If the checks are passing, I'm not that worried about updating Action Setup Node or ESLint. I'm just going to go ahead and approve and merge them. That has saved me so much. This is so tailored to me, by the way. This is the thing about a personal CLI. It scratches your own itch. This makes my life so much better because I don't have to go clicking around renovate PRs. I can have a look at which packages I maintain have unreleased commits that are not just chores, and it looks like there are a lot of them. You can see all the no. These have not those unreleased. This is it. I can see which packages I maintain have unreleased PRs, and you can see here are some of the packages I maintain. They have a given number of commits, when they were last changed, and maybe this is going to allow me to release them. So I'm actually just going to say, hey, test utils, maybe I should release it. So I'm going to hit enter. It opens that up in the browser for me. And I have another automation which actually already creates a release PR for me. And all I have to do is actually merge this, and it's going to automatically release it for me. There is so much that you can do on the level of this kind of automation that will make your life so much better, easier, faster. I cannot commend it enough. I'm well out of time. I'm so sorry that I've carried on for so long. But honestly, this is so much fun. If you're interested in Nuxt, weirdly, because I haven't talked about it, feel free to check it out. I say this because I am, as I said before, very much in need of personal validation, so do that. And if you want to talk to me for any reason, I'm aware you probably don't, but I have an open diary at roe.dev/chat. You can book a 10-minute call with me anytime. That QR code will is a starter pack for Blue Sky if you want to follow some of the contributors to the Nuxt ecosystem. But I would love to chat, answer questions or whatever over in the break. We don't have time now, or on some future occasion via DM or via a 10-minute call. That would be a delight. But thank you so much for having me. It has been a real pleasure. Thanks very much.